Good evening and welcome everyone to this evening's Warwick Special Education Advisory Committee meeting. My name is Jennifer Cardillo and I'm the chairperson for the committee. We are in an interesting position tonight. I do not have my right person who's really good with technology, Caitlin Regan, tonight. She had a prior commitment. So I'm hoping that everyone on the call will be really nice, and I'm going to try to do the best I can. Raise your hands. I should be able to get to everybody on the call as we go along, but just ask for your patience because I'm not as savvy as she is. So we also have a few folks that are in the room tonight. So what I'm going to do is to have everyone in the room introduce themselves first and then go to everyone on the call. I'm also going to share the meeting agenda at this point for everyone on the call, just so that they can see it. So if you hold on one moment, I will be able to do that. Everyone, let me know when you can see the agenda. Hopefully that's some thumbs up. Good, excellent, thank you. All right. Okay, and I'm just double checking and making sure that everything's recording as expected. Okay, so for our agenda today, we usually start off with introductions and then we'll go through some of the meeting rules and the like. We've got updates from our special services team, as well as a new member of the school committee, Sean Wiggins, who is here tonight. So I'll be rotating the laptop as we go through the call. This is a very open forum as we begin our chat. So their public comment is available for everyone who has dialed in tonight, as well as everyone in the room. I would just ask for everyone in the room. So we're going to manage as best as we can. You might need to speak up just so everyone can hear you. All right. So just introducing myself really briefly, I'm Jennifer Cardillo. Like I said, I'm the chairperson of the committee. I have a daughter, Daphne, who is a senior at Tollgate High School. So Daphne, can you introduce yourself since you're here tonight? So you can say your name and what school you go to. You don't want to? Can I say it then? This is Daphne Cardillo. She is a senior at Tollgate High School. And then Lou?
Lou Cardillo, not a senior at Tollgate. I graduated. Parent of Daphne Cardillo, wife of, husband of Jennifer Cardillo.
That's good. All right, I'm going to turn the laptop around. We're going to start going around this side of the room. So,
my name is Bill McCaffrey. I'm an assistant superintendent of schools in Warwick, as well as director of secondary education. Glad to be here this evening.
Yeah.
Stephen Carter, assistant director of special education.
Jennifer Barber, co-director of special education.
Heather Krause, parent of Macy Krause at Transition.
Sean Williams, Warwick School Committee.
Vanessa Lisi, I have a student, Sandrasia at Pilgrim High School. She's a freshman.
Okay.
I'm Jack Vicino. I'm Sandrasia's father, student at Pilgrim.
Okay.
I'm Sammy Davey. I'm one of the transition teachers over at Pilgrim.
Okay, absolutely. And we had one other person come in. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Maisie's dad.
I lost my identity a while ago too.
Yeah, 10 graphs.
All right, excellent. Thank you. So, and for the next piece that we're just going to go through are our typical group norms. So I'm going to bring those up, but I'll say them verbally for everyone here in the room. We tend to have some pretty open discussions here as part of the Warwick Special Education Advisory Committee. We do expect full participation, but for all of us who are on the call, as well as here, which I'm about to do the introductions on the call because I just realized I forgot them. We make sure that everyone can participate, but also recognize that everyone has their own unique journey. So, just be respectful of everyone's opinion. It's going to differ. We do have a student here tonight who is going to be listening in too. Students are always welcome at the WSEAC meeting. We'll find out if any of them have dialed in tonight now that we've given everybody a few minutes to dial in, and their opinions are always welcome and appreciated too. So I'm going to go back before I go any further to everyone on the call. Just make sure as we're going around that you take yourself off a microphone. I'm going to do the best I can here to see who's on the call, but it might be a little shaky as we go along. So Alyssa, why don't you start?
Hi, Alyssa Breyer, parent of a kindergartner at Hoxie.
Mimi?
Mimi Rodeman, parent of my daughter Rose, who's 4th and 5th grade at Oakland Beach.
Hey, welcome. Susan? She may not be able to come off microphone. I'm going to go over to Lena. Okay. So why don't we just go around for everyone? We have 6 others who have joined the meeting. If you can just pipe up and introduce yourself, take yourself off microphone. We'll give you like a minute or two to do that. We'd like to hear what school you're representing and roll.
Bethany Hogan. I have one at the transition program and one at vets.
Thank you, Bethany. And I finally got the list up. Deborah Carpentier. And we'll go to the next person, Deborah Maldonado.
Yes, Deb Maldonado. I'm a special ed teacher at Vets and also parent of a student at Pilgrim and a student at Vets.
Okay. Hope Filoni. Okay. Joanna Suriel.
Hi, yes, my name is Joanna Suriel, and this is Jane Mullen. And Jane Mullen's at the transition program.
Okay. Hi, good evening, Joanna, and also Jamie Lynn, students. So we have 2 students attending tonight so far. Okay. Who did I miss?
Hi, I'm Megan McQueen. I'm a special educator at Lippitt.
Hi, Megan. Nice to see you tonight.
You too.
Oh. Hope just said that her computer mic settings are messed up. Considering my technical difficulties tonight, Hope, I'm right with you. She's a teacher at WELC. Everyone else, if we've missed you, just bring your mic off at some point. If you have any comments or that kind of thing, feel free to share them and we will go from there. Because of some of our technical difficulties tonight, we are not going to go through the WSEAC meeting minutes from last month. We will table those until next month, and we are going to go directly into the Director of Special Services report, which will be Jen Barber.
Good evening. So we have lots of things going on in special education. We have 2 vacancies that we're currently scheduling interviews for. One is a social worker, and the other is for a special educator at Norwood. A teacher just gave her notice, so we're filling that position. We are working with the Rhode Island Department of Ed and Key to Ed for a facilitated IEP training. So we're working to create a 3-year implementation plan to do training for our teachers. We had our school support visit finalized, and we will be using the results of that to help guide us through the next few years. And we have been working hard for the transition program planning, which we will get to next.
For everyone in the room and on the call, can you go over with everyone what a facilitated IEP is and what changes will be needed in the district in order to implement that service for everyone?
So we do have, Department of Ed has a facilitated IEP group that has been working to give parents more of a voice, to make sure that they have more of a role in the process. We're using Key to Ed to really tailor. We're going to take some components of that and adopt those for our district for some of that training. So I don't think it will really take anything more like resource-wise. I think it's really just finding the time to be able to work with our teachers on changing our processes. So sometimes when parents come to IEP meetings, people are just reading from an IEP. This really is more of having a conversation and really following a certain order. So we make sure that, each part flows to the next and we're not all over the place. We've had a few in the district, and it really does feel very different. I've sat on both sides of the table as a parent with a child with an IEP, and sometimes it's really overwhelming. And so to be able to have a more conversational type IEP meeting where we're getting that to you in advance so that you're able to read through that, reach out if you have questions, and then bringing that to have a productive conversation in that meeting. That we're just looking to change the feel and to make sure that parents have enough time to have a voice and be an active participant.
And for the students, because there are, depending on the age, students who are also participating in IEP meetings, I think there's at least one person on the call, as well as my daughter who does. How does that process help them?
Yeah, we haven't started that phase yet of our planning, but it's definitely on our list of considerations on what we need to do for our teachers, what types of support our students will need to be able to have the time, that in a meeting, everyone has a role. It seems to go very quickly. Let's prepare and make sure that our teachers have the training to support our students to participate in this.
All right, thank you. You're welcome. What questions are there for Jen on the any others on the facilitated IEP piece, either on the phone or in the room? Anything else that you wanted to share with anyone?
That was it.
Okay. I know we typically have quite a few questions when it comes to the special services report. We are going to go into the transition program in a second, but for anything else not related to the transition program, are there any questions from anyone on the call? Like online? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So what I'd like to do at this time is switch the floor over to Bill McCaffrey and Steve to talk about the transition program. Steve's prepared quite a bit of information for everyone tonight as a follow-up to a meeting that was held with parents whose students are part of the transition program last Wednesday. So, Steve, please turn it over. We are going to take as many questions as you have after that presentation. So please do not hesitate either in the room or also here to speak up. That includes both students that are in the room too. So don't be afraid to have your voice heard. Okay.
Well, since our meeting on last Wednesday, on Thursday, I started an email thread with all the parents that were involved. So if you were involved in it, you should have gotten that. And that's your opportunity to send direct issues to me, but also making sure that it's out there for everybody to see. Right? If there's something directly about your child, email me separately. But if there's things as a whole that you want to be out to the whole group for discussion, that would be that thread to use. So I started that piece already, and Jen, you responded to that in terms of this meeting. So people should have received that. And if you know someone who hasn't, let me know.
And just making sure everybody on the phone can still hear. All right. Can I have a confirmation? Okay, everyone's nodding so they can hear you.
Today we met with the facilities group to talk about, so that was Steve Gothberg and Mike Iafredi from the, what do you call that? Capital Projects. Thank you. And Kevin Oliver, and then Jen Barber, myself, and Leslie Brow. We did a tour of the lower level at Gorton Junior High, for lack of a better term, to look at what's available. There are some things that we could potentially do there for next year, depending on, again, whether or not an elementary school has to get closed and moved in, right? So that's one piece that's in there. One of the discussions we've had, and we don't know if we can actually do it, is renting an apartment or a house in Warwick so that it becomes that facility for them to practice in if we can't find one internally. That would be one that would have a kitchen and bedrooms for them to practice independent living. But that has its own problems along with coding. Once you start bringing students into the room, it brings its own issues there. So we started looking at that. So we talked about that today, and we did a tour of the lower level. And so when it comes to facilities, that's just begun. I've also reached out to and spoken with the Assistant Director of Special Education for Transition Services in Cranston, Shelley Bigelli. So I talked to her, and she's willing to take a look at our stuff, give us suggestions, things that they do in Cranston that maybe we're not doing here in Warwick. Leslie had suggested also the person who runs the transition program at Sargent possibly coming in and consulting with us as to how they do things versus what we're doing. I also reached out and spoke to April Seppeler at West Bay Collaborative. I don't know if you guys are familiar with West Bay Collaborative at all. They run what's called the Transition Academy over at CCRI. So they have years of experience of doing transition services. That's been around for a very long time. The difference between what we run in our transition piece versus what they run at CCRI is a level of independence, right? They have to be able to get themselves there, get themselves back. They go to job sites a lot of times without a job coach, and then it gets reviewed afterwards. So what I had asked April to do was to speak to their director and give us a proposal. Give us something that they may say like, hey, we could create this, and we take a look at it. I do that just as a contingency. Like, we want to make sure we have all the possible options out there for what would work best. I met with Perspectives, and I have a follow-up meeting with them on March 12th, in which I'm going to talk to them and tell them what types of services they provide. Perspectives does a lot of transition, but they also do a lot of adult services. So they're heavily involved in that movement from going from a transition program into adult services. So I did reach out to them as well. And I have a meeting with them on March 12th, and I met with them, I want to say last Friday, maybe last Thursday. The days all get mixed up. I also met with the WTU president, and I also met with I spoke with the WISE president, and they've agreed to do a group meeting with everybody that's involved in terms of teachers and TAs. Again, that goes back to the climate and culture piece that we had talked about last week that needed to be addressed. So they've agreed to do that. I also asked for a list of the job sites from the teachers that we use, both not only that we have contracts with and we use, but also ones we have contracts with that maybe we're not using. So they supplied me with that list. So I have that. And we also just finished signing the contract with Ocean State Job Lot. And right now, it's an exchange between whoever runs our insurance and their insurance. So once they coordinate their insurance policies, then we can start using Ocean State Job Lot as well.
Is that at a different level than what we use already?
What's that?
Is that a different level at Open State? Is that at a different level of what we already do?
In terms of our...
For the, we have students that go there right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, kind of new to this piece, but we don't have Ocean State Job Lot on there. But in terms of things that are very similar, in terms of like a large retail type place, there's not much on here. Most of these are restaurants or.
I did not look at the list.
Yeah, and I can read them off. So like they have Dave's in East Greenwich, Chuck E. Cheese, Clouds Hill, which is a museum, Cello's, Denny's, Pizzoni, West Bay Marketplace, Job Lot just got added, Little Learners Academy, Walgreens in 2 different locations, Launch, but only during the summer, the Pilgrim Senior Center, Brentwood's Activities, I don't know what that is.
The nursing home.
There you go. CVS, Laid Back Fitness, and Tavern in the Square. Those are what we have right now.
Yeah, so we use one job lot, so that's why I was asking if it was gonna be like a new building.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if you knew more
Yeah, I don't know.
than that. Yeah, so we use the one that's like right next to school. Sorry, yeah, excited for something more than.
On top of what Jen and Steve have done, I'm the immediate past chair of the Rhode Island Central Chamber of Commerce. So I'm meeting with the board to do outreach to try to expand opportunities that exist in our community. They service areas Cranston, Warwick, and Coventry. So we're looking to expand placements for students. So I'll be reaching out to the board and seeing what we can do to enhance some of the opportunities that we might have. And we would like to maintain a consistent meeting with the parent group and have an advisory group for the transition program to keep opportunities in a nice tight knit group and each year just build upon them to make the program even better than what you're doing every day. You're doing all the hard work every day in the classroom.
Can you, as part of the discussions tonight, I think you've cited a lot of items that you're reviewing right now, but I'm not sure because not everyone was at that meeting or has the background who's part of the WSEAC. Could we back up and go up a little bit of a higher level and have you give just a very brief overview of some of the concerns that were raised by the parents and the key areas that you're reviewing right now? Because I think you did some of them right there, but I think it might be good just to do that backup so that we set some context here.
Yeah, let me go to my notes.
And then Bethany Hogan, who is one of the leads for the transition committee, I'd like you also to speak up in a moment too, to, just share some things from a parent's perspective. Also, as Steve's going through that piece, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
So some of the concerns that were brought up, one was the facility itself. Lack of windows. People felt it was kind of dirty. Some people didn't like the fact that it was located separate from the school itself, that it felt like that it was going backwards in terms of instead of being included in the school, that they were separate from the school. So that was one of the problems. One of the other problems was the job sites themselves, that maybe they were spending far too much time doing things like folding pizza boxes instead of moving on to jobs of interest. So if a student says they wanted to work with animals in a dog grooming place, we don't exactly have that on there, right? So why are we not reaching out to it? So that was some of the areas in terms of the jobs itself. And then one of the other major problems was the climate and culture in the room. That made students not want to come to school. So those were, I would say, the three biggest highlights, which is why we started with the facilities, why we're trying to get a group together with the union to be able to talk about climate and culture, and then also reaching out to all those other places to see who are you using and how are you doing it. So those were kind of those big pieces right there.
Okay.
It's more like, but when I take away and looking at my notes here, and there was other stuff about personnel, but in terms of like the larger picture stuff, it was facilities, what are the activities, and why are they not doing jobs that they like?
Okay, and then Bethany, I see your hand raised. Can you add your perspective from the transitions committee's component representing the parents?
Yes. Can I ask a question first, though?
Oh, absolutely. Go for it.
So Steve, the culture piece was a huge part of our conversation last week. And what I am hearing you say is that you met with Darlene and Mary and that they're going to have a conversation with staff.
No, it's going to be me meeting with the whole staff itself. So first is coordinating with both unions. I just can't walk in there and be like, all right, we're going to do it. Like,
right. No, I got you.
We want to make sure that all sides are there and represented so we can just have an honest discussion about the climate and culture in the room. So I coordinated with them first to say, are you guys willing to be able to be part of this?
Okay. And do we have a timeline on that, Steve, on when that's going to actually happen?
No, because I got a couple of other things in the works that I really can't discuss right now.
Nope, that's totally fine. Can I just ask a follow-up to that then? Just given that we're on a timeline that we're not really, it's kind of unknown right now. Mm-hmm. If parents have concerns and personnel concerns, how should they be documenting that, and who should they be sending that to?
Me.
Just you, Steve?
Well, I mean, I'm the point person, right? So I don't want to have to put it on parents to just, find 5 different people that they should be including in it. They can send it directly to me. If it's certain things about their student that they want to discuss, then directly send it to me. If it's something like I said before, like for the group as a whole, like it's not specific to your child, send it to that group thread so that way it's also there.
I've gotten the impression from a couple of parents over the last few days that they're looking for, I hate to say, like a higher authority. Like they feel like I know the steps that you're taking, Steve. But they, people are feeling like there's not forward progress on this. And they, if I'm going to go back to my Ripon days when we talked about keep escalating your concerns, right? So where, are we sending this to Mr. Carter and Mr. McCaffrey and Miss Danbrook, and like how should parents proceed? Because I think they feel like right now they're just hitting a wall right now, and they're a little upset.
And I got to be honest with you too, that was one of the concerns that we discussed during the meeting, just to reiterate, before you respond, that we had the superintendent in that meeting. You attended. We had good representation. And one of the things that I've seen historically happen, whether it's this program, which we've had history with the transition program. Let's be clear, in the WSEAC. And also with other programs across the district, we haven't necessarily consistently historically seen that accountability. So I just want to raise that piece, because you've got parents who have been here for quite a while who, for very good reason, have brought up very legitimate concerns. And I think they need some reassurance and additional communication along the way. I know that we talked a little bit about that, but like Bethany's saying, I think there needs to be, something laid out so that we all understand that.
Yeah, I mean,
And the same thing for this 2 students who were here
Feel free to
too.
send information to me as well.
Yeah.
Steve and I and Jen, we meet daily to discuss issues that are happening in the district. You can send it to both of us, but we do meet daily to discuss issues that have come up at different schools. We're taking this very seriously. You have my assurance that change will happen to support the best interest of the transition program.
And how is the feedback loop then going to, I know we outlined some things for the parent group, but Bethany, I don't know if it would help here. I'd like to understand for the individual pieces, and I don't know whether you do too, and some of the parents who are on the call too, like how are they going to know how things are being addressed, or what's being addressed, or what actions are being taken?
Certain matters, obviously, we can discuss with you. When it comes to personnel matters, we're limited on what we can or can't say.
Fair
So
enough.
just please respect that.
Absolutely, and I think everyone
We want to be
understands.
transparent on what's happening at the transition program, and we want to have the best transition program in the state. That's our goal.
I think one of the most important things that came out of last week's meeting, and I don't remember exactly who brought this up, because I'd like to credit them, but it got me really, I've been thinking on it since then, where I think that the consideration that has kind of gotten lost, at least from a parent perspective, is what is the purpose of the transition program? What we talked a little bit in that meeting about a vision, right? And a mission and, all of that stuff. But the reality is, what is the consideration when, what is the purpose of the transition program? Is it to turn out students who are employed and can be responsible citizens, et cetera, et cetera? I can, my expectations of a student coming out of Warwick Public Schools, any school in Warwick, I could go on forever. You guys all know me, and I can talk to you about it. But what is our expectation for a student coming out of the transition program? Because I think that we need to start with that to figure out what we're supposed to be doing in those 2 or 3 years that our kiddos are spending working toward that goal. And I think that that's really gotten lost. I think that, again, from a parent perspective, I think that there's been a lot of checking boxes for a lot of years. I think there's been a lot of, well, we have to do this because, you know, they said that we have to. I know that my son has the employment opportunities that he has right now because there's a woman sitting in that room with you who has busted her butt to make sure that those things have happened. Otherwise, right, what would he be doing, everyone? He would be folding pizza boxes. And she has gotten probably 100 emails from me regarding pizza boxes. So she, you know, Miss Davies stepped up and she really took it upon herself and got him into some amazing placements. But that would not have happened. Like, that is very individualized, which it should be, right? But I have been a thorn in everyone's side to make that happen. And so I think we need to consider what our expectation is for all of our students and how we're getting to that expectation.
I agree. Yep. And when we met last time, we did talk about having a vision statement, a mission statement for the program, right? And have that overarching idea of what they're supposed to look like when they leave.
So is that the plan, Steve, for like the next advisory meeting? Like, are we going to be working on those types of things like at those meetings? Is that the plan?
Absolutely can be.
I did start a document that I shared with Steve. It's not ready for anyone's eyes, but while I called into the meeting, I mean, I was taking notes aggressively, and then when I got off, I just kept going. And so I think I captured a lot on paper, working on a mission and vision, and we need to meet next week and start to talk about that and plan things out. So my mind didn't stop after that meeting. So there is a document that we've started to look at, a draft.
Okay. Steve, what is the date you have for the next meeting, just so everyone knows?
Let me see here. So,
I think we talked about the last week of
yeah,
February,
yeah.
right?
Somebody held it across the room. I think it was like the last week of February.
Remember that part.
Monday, the 24th at
Okay.
6 o'clock, and we were going to use the third floor of Gordon.
Okay, thank you.
And will there be a virtual component too?
Yes.
Yeah, because I know for some of the parents, including some of those on the call, this is really difficult.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can use my office because it actually is all set up for that as well.
Okay.
Might be a little cramped for those who show up, but it's got a really good setup for the parents who are going to be plugging in to be able to see the whole room. So it's a good setup.
Okay.
And if I could just really quick finish up with the perspective of the meeting from last week, I would just like to reach out to Mr. Wiggins, who's there, to see that the school committee was well represented at the meeting. And I'd like to see if, if he had any thoughts after he left the meeting and if he's talked to his colleagues at all.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, make sure you speak up too.
No, from the school committee meeting prior to that meeting, this program has been top of mind. I spoke to every one of my colleagues, minus one. Actually, I've not had an opportunity to speak to one. But we all agree that this is important, that it's, the needs of the students need to be met. I think that Mr. Carter and I think Ms. McCaffrey, Barbara, are tackling that. I'm going to say that we've been in touch. I've been in touch with Ms. McCaffrey. I'm checking up to make sure that these things are moving on. I know the chairman is also very much involved. He's had several discussions. But I couldn't agree with from the mission statement to the discussion about creating a better website, to creating more community outreach, like what Mr. McCaffrey's talking about. We want to be supportive in every way. We're elected officials that you voted to represent you and your children. And so when it comes to anything you need, anyone that's in this room or on the call, you can email us anytime. And certainly email me anytime, and I'll be there. But yeah, it was hard to hear the stories. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think everybody agrees that was. We want these kids. These are kids that are near and dear to my heart. And Bethany, I coach Bethany's sons in baseball. I've known Emma my whole life, so I can say from a personal standpoint that this is being very, very new, obviously, and having a very interesting first month on the school committee. This still is number one on my agenda of things. So I'm here to support, be part of, obviously, this meeting and any meetings you want me to be at. I will be there and you have my support.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Wow. Steve, Bill, what else would you like to share? I'm going to continue to open it up to questions and stuff, but I want to make sure that, I know you had prepared a lot of things to go over. I want to make sure that you had a chance to do that.
I'm all set.
Okay, cool.
Covered everything.
All right. For everyone on the call, everyone in the room, and Jamie Lynn and Daphne, who are both students, just wanted to see what other questions that you may have and give you an opportunity to speak if you'd like to.
Jamelin doesn't have any questions, but as a parent, I just would like to be more involved in the type of jobs that they select, and also because I just feel that there might be some jobs that, as a parent, I know it's not something for my child. So before that decision is made, I think it would be best to involve the parents as well in that decision making.
Okay. There's some limitations to that, only because like I said before, when we first get a student into that program, we have to assess their job skills and what they need. And sometimes we have to do that at certain places that maybe they're not interested in at first or at all. But we're doing, just like ORS would do, is to do a survey of their job skills. How they do in non-preferred tasks is also important as well. Now, I also agreed with you guys last time, was that doing that for 6 months or a year and a half is ridiculous, right? That's not what we're supposed to be doing. But that initial job placement piece where we're doing that assessment of their skill sets, sometimes we have to use certain places. If that answers that question. But yes, I agree with you. Like, we want them to be having the opportunity to be in a job that they show interest in.
So I respectfully disagree. Steve, you knew that was going to come. So my student, and I think that for most of the parents on this call, they're going to agree that their students worked on all of those types of interest inventories and skill assessments all through high school. They had some opportunities to show what they were capable of, what they struggled with, and that for the most part, I would probably say most of those students walked into the transition program their first day after the end of their 12th grade year with an idea of where their strengths and where their barriers lie. And that could have been ready to go on the first day. Not here we are heading into February. And I hear what you're saying, Steve, that, we need to make assessments and stuff, but maybe I can only speak for Ryan. Ryan was in the alternate assessment program. All of those assessments were done while he was at Pilgrim. There is no reason why anyone should have to be spending 1 month, 3 months, 6 months assessing his skills when everyone who works there knew exactly what he needed. Jeannie Miranda sent his paperwork and everybody knew exactly what his skills were when he walked in the door of the transition program. And I think that that's probably the case for most students. Probably not all. I would never say all, but I'm finding it hard to believe that we need to waste time when these kids only have 2 or 3 years in this program.
I think the other challenge that I'm finding too, that I want, and I know I brought this up at the meeting and would like to bring this up again, is the limited, variety of types of employers that are available at the present moment. And one of the things that, quite a few of us had mentioned is that this, there needs to be efforts more from just the school district. This is a two-way street. This is a community problem, not just only the school district's problem, although obviously there's remit here from the school district standpoint. And I don't think you're going to have an answer tonight, and I can respect that. But one of the things that would be helpful by the time we get to the next parent meeting in late February is to understand what that process is, so that the community and parents and that kind of thing can come and try to help solve some of these items where they can.
Yeah, and like I said, before is in that thread, if you guys have a place you know of that you'd like me to investigate, shoot it my way, and I'll certainly call whoever needs to be called. And then like I said before, with the Ocean State piece, it was just connecting it up to the right person at our place to cover insurance purposes and whatnot. So the legalese over there, but I'll do that initial outreach to anybody you send me.
Okay. You've got teacher, and I'll get to whoever just raised their hand in a second. For the teachers at Pilgrim and Tollgate, I can vouch for Tollgate, and I'm sure the same situation's happening over at Pilgrim, where the teachers are absolutely just busting their butt day in and day out to make sure these kids have assignments that are meeting those interests, those skills inventories, and that kind of thing. Is there going to be a bit better collaboration on what work they've already done and some of those contacts that they've had too? Because these are relationships they've already gone through and established. It seems silly to lose those the minute they hit the transition program. So.
I know this is weird because I work in the transition program.
Oh, no.
I came from.
And then we're going to get to Hope, who raised her hand on the call.
So I had come from East Providence. We were kind of running into that same problem of trying to find those meaningful employment opportunities, and it did come from.
Return so they can see you. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I should have done that.
Sorry, I haven't gone home from school yet, so it's terrible. Sorry. What we were trying to do is, I would call places that I knew because I'm from Warwick, but I lived in East Providence. So we were calling places. I would go pick up food somewhere and start a conversation. And a lot of businesses were hesitant of it, of the legalese, that, insurance piece. A lot of places just say no when it comes from teachers. I know that, there's a whole history with the transition program in general, but I'm talking about my experience in East Providence. It very much was people were scared to say yes, because there's only so much that, a teacher is going to share about a program as well. And if places are just like, nope, I don't want that liability, even if we have the insurance piece, having a follow-up from someone else that's, in administration or, is able to kind of back it up or have that follow-up call did start to help. I'm not saying that East Providence is perfect with it, but it did help us get a few job sites that were very specific for students, that when teachers went in or TAs went in, that they would just very much close the door. So it does get frustrating when you do try and reach out to places and they say no, but when you have that that backup. So if Steve and I went somewhere or, I called someone, he followed up with someone or made those connections from families, it really did help. Because just, showing up at a place and be like, oh, I'm picking up my food, but also what kind of job, trying to have those conversations without something to back it up or another person to back it up is pretty difficult. So that kind of combination, I think, will start to open up more doors here. I grew up here. I know that Papa's Ice Cream we're gonna go in there for a little bit.
I think she'd be quite interested in Papa's Ice Cream side.
That was my first job. So, being able to make those connections and that's a connection that I have. So trying to make that with everybody to make that community. I know that East Providence is doing the same thing right now. I know you said talking to Cranston, talking to Providence, April at West Bay is if I have any questions, that's who I go to. She knows what she's doing. So
That's why
yeah. I know, I wrote her name down. I was like, yes. So being able to make that really a big community thing, I think is going to be really helpful to open those doors.
Okay, great. Hope, I'm going to go to you on the call, and then we have someone who raised their hand in the room. If you can come off mute. Hi, we can hear you now, I think. So what, you want to try again, Hope?
Can you hear me
There you
now?
go. Yeah, now you're good.
Oh, awesome. All right. I don't know why that took so long. Is there a certain period of time that a student is at a job site, or like until a specific goal is reached, or just whatever works for the program? Does that make sense?
It does. I know that by the end of the time they're supposed to have, and Bethany, correct me on this if I'm wrong, it's 2 60-hour experiences, correct?
She's nodding her head, yes.
Yes. Hey, there you go.
For everyone on the call can see her, we can't, not
There you
everybody
go.
in the room.
So the ultimate goal is to be able to make the student employable, right? That they should be able to transition out to being able to get a job and live independently as much as possible, right? So those are the things that we work on, but by the end of it, we're supposed to have done 2 60-hour job placements and making them employable in those areas, which is where the interest piece comes in, because if it's things that they're interested in, then they can go on and get a job in it, right? Because we've trained them. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Over to you.
What kind of incentives are there for a business owner? So I know that we're talking about placing the kids into the right programs, the 60 hours, things like that. What kind of incentives are we putting in place for business owners? You were at the Chamber of Commerce?
No, I was past chair of their board. I work for the Warwick Schools.
Oh, okay. So
I mean, that's the challenge. What's in it for the business?
well, and I don't want that, and
Yeah, I get it, I
don't
get
make
it,
it
totally
sound,
get it.
I don't want to sound like
I
that.
know, I get it.
But if you come as a small business owner in the state of Rhode Island in East Greenwich, and if somebody comes in and says, hey, can you give this person a job for 60 hours or whatever for the experience? I have liability concerns, number one, that can't get met. I have no tax incentive necessarily to be able to do that. I have payroll concerns that I have to meet. I have tax concerns that I have to meet. I have facility changes that I may have to make. Not any part of this is telling me as a business owner that this is something I want to be involved in. Now, I very much do because I have a vested interest in it, but I'm 1 in 50. So what could we possibly do, forgive me for sounding vulgar about it, but dangle a carrot in front of business owners to make it something that's advantageous for them?
Well, that's the challenge, right? It's getting business to do it. And what we really rely on a lot of times is that people like yourself who have vested interest in it themselves.
Sure, but I have room for one person for 10 hours on a Saturday. But off the top of my head, you mentioned Cranston, Tasca Automotive, right off the highway, giant place, could have kids in there 2 or 3 times a week helping wash cars. And, getting underneath them and just kind of having that experience of being in that space. Why on earth would Tasca want anybody in the building with that measure of liability attached to it?
Well, one of my past roles in the district, I was the co-op coordinator for the Career and Tech Center. We place students all over the city in different parts of the state. We currently have, last year we did have students at Task. We had an automotive program where they would do an internship the second half of their senior year. Half the school day, they'd go out to Tasca. And the benefit for Tasker was they had the opportunity to see students. They didn't have to pay them. It was covered. It was part of their school programming. They were graded on it. And at the end of it, maybe they'll have a few candidates that they could hire that could actually handle that environment.
Right.
We had a good relationship with them. In that relationship, we used their software for testing. For our students, what's the carrot for our students? They did the testing. If you complete so much of the Ford testing, you get to a certain level, you get paid a higher rate when you're hired. So it was a good partnership that's established there through the automotive
For general
program.
education, correct?
Well, it was Career and Tech.
Correct, okay.
Career and Tech. It's similar process in the sense that you go out, you do a safety audit, with the safety audit, you sit down with the business owner, you discuss how we're covered through general liability insurance. And with that, every business is different, but what works for you? Can it work for us? You try to create a partnership that is successful for all. I want to see all students from Warwick schools leave and be successful and be employed somewhere. So down the road, I can say, run into you and see that you're being successful, whether it's a transition program or whether it's a career tech program or whether it's someone leaving Pilgrim or Tollgate.
Right. We also understand that the transition program population of students has a significantly different set of needs.
Sure.
And what can we do for business owners that would make them want to be a part of that program? And I hear a lot through the meetings and the literature and my own experience with my daughter. I don't hear anything on the other side of that. Like, how does this help me? I want to do it out of the goodness of my heart and again for my vested interest. But the guy that has the shop next to me, it's a non-starter for him because there's nothing in it for him. There's technically only a downside. And I think that is a massive barrier to placing some of these folks, some of these young people into, positive work experiences.
No, we get it. There is a place for everyone out there. It may not be your place, but different places. There are opportunities out there.
There are, I understand. And again,
it depends on the nature of the work and what skill level you have to attain and what skill level our students are ready to work at.
And as we see the student population begin to rise, we are not seeing the number of businesses willing to accept students in the transition program in. Or we're not doing enough on the administrative side to bridge that gap between the transition program and work. So this might be good. Hey,
Hi, how are you?
Hey, great, thank you.
And then Bethany will go to you on the phone. And just so we know that before you answer that, I'm going to give maybe one more question on the phone. And Sean, I know you have a weighty update, so I do want to make sure that we have time to hear the school committee report too. And Sean, have your chance to introduce yourself. So why don't we take your comment? One more question on the phone, and then we'll go from there.
It's just more of that community piece to it. So in East Providence, we had the mayor would bring up opportunities that we were looking for in meetings and would talk to other people. I don't know if there's other things other incentives that happen, but it's more of my whole job is the community. I take the kids out in different places in the community to access things every day. And it really is that what are they interested in? Who do we know? Where are we going? And then it kind of builds into that. That they know this is what they're interested in. There's also self-employment that's really big in Rhode Island. So artists, Bethany, I'm going to talk about Ryan real quick, does woodworking, and there's programs through the state that are helping students be able to earn money that way and grants to be able to do their own business. It's just more of that, more exposure of, that community and to kind of, taking care of each other. So it's who you know. I know it's not I don't have the business mindset of it. It's it is kind of what's in it for me. And that was a big thing for us in East Providence was how do we get these businesses to, take our students? And it became more of that word of mouth, so it's really good for, for a community. This family comes in. So making those connections, it takes a long time is what does happen of making those really good connections. And I think we can do that, but no, I also don't know any incentives, but that's been brought up in a couple of districts that I've worked in too. So I hear you.
Bethany?
I just wanted to say really quickly that there are tax credits available to businesses who hire individuals with disabilities, and maybe it would be in our best interest as we move forward and we start having these conversations with our community. Maybe we can have somebody from the Department of Labor come in and do an in-service about there are several tax credits available. One is the work opportunity tax credit. So there are benefits out there to businesses to hiring individuals with disabilities. It's just, you know, they don't serve themselves up on a silver platter. Like, we got to go out and we got to get them and we got to fight for them and we've got to collaborate. And you know, and we're behind in the process. So, you know, it's just going to take all of us. But I think maybe getting some people who actually know to come in and have a conversation with our stakeholders might be beneficial to have that conversation down the road.
Bethany, I was just thinking of maybe like a community partnership night, you know, where we have people who
Yes.
have those successful experiences and then have those people there who can answer those questions, you know, about tax credits and just things like that.
I love that.
Yeah, just.
And some of the larger employers, because when Bethany, you mentioned the work opportunity tax credit, I happen to know at least, you know, my employer has utilized that program in the past. There's got to be some other larger businesses who have been through the process and maybe they can offer tips. So if you get like that, you know, some sort of partnership night or community night, maybe that's someplace where there can be that kind of conversation and reassurance on both sides. Hey, this can be done.
Right. And just thinking about the technology component that came up, I'll just do this quickly. We talked about having, you know, the technology, the website, you know, that's free advertisement. You know,
Yeah.
look at this, look at this, look what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which could be
Give
really
me a sticker
helpful.
for my door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a sticker for my door.
I don't have website.
I don't have access.
Help me out.
Okay.
Talk to Jim.
Yep. So I appreciate all of you coming tonight. So I know these are difficult conversations. Bethany, thank you for taking time out of your schedule tonight. And for all the parents, so who, you know, who have asked questions on the call, this is not the last time we are going to be discussing this as part of a SEAC meeting. This is going to be a regular agenda item, which I hope you'll be able to support as we move forward to come into our meetings to discuss. And I'm, you know, going to encourage all of you who are on this call, you know, it is a really powerful voice when you show up here to continue conversations like this and make sure you're being heard, but also so that both sides understand what steps are being taken too and how we can all help together. So I really appreciate you all. So speaking of appreciation, Sean, we're about to transition over to you. I know there's no lack of topics on the school committee side at the present moment that will be of interest to everyone in this room. Everyone also needs to meet you because you're the first time you're meeting here. So if you, I'm going to turn the floor over to you to give the school committee report, share a little bit about yourself and what your role is going to be with SEAC, and tell us what's going on with the school committee.
Sure. So I'm Sean Williams. Obviously, I'm the newest member of the committee. It's been an interesting first month. I am a father of three. I have one who's been through the school system, is a junior at URI right now. I have a junior at Pilgrim High School, and I have a third grader at Hoxie, who has an IEP. And I can tell you, Ms. Barber, that as a father, even running, it is a very difficult conversation. So, from my perspective, you know, what I've gotten from my first not even 30 days there's a lot that needs to be worked on, from not only this transition program, but you know, from a school committee standpoint, we have a lot of work to do over the next few years to get to where, you know, we're going to be in a good place for all students. I will be, from a school committee standpoint, I'm going to be chair on the Health and Wellness Committee, just so people are aware of that. I am vice chair of the Finance Committee. I am vice chair of the Policy Committee. I am also now on the WSEAC. I do intend on being very involved. This program is very important to me. The kids are very important to me. If your family, all the families in this room are very important to me. And again, I always state again, anyone who has any questions, I'm always available. Yeah, as far as a report specific, I think to your point, there's a lot going on, and we're trying to go through a lot of things. We had the meeting last night regarding the new high schools, and that seems to be going well. And I thought that was a good opportunity to see what the future of the high school is going to look like. But other than that, I think that would be all I would be able to say at this point in time.
So a couple of first, you're totally, I'm so glad you're here. We've had some nice conversations over text and that kind of thing. I know we'll figure out how to not text when we get a chance. So, but absolutely, totally happy that you're here and that you're going to be representing the school committee. Usually at these meetings, we do give an opportunity to give updates on some of the pieces. For example, in your case, that you and I have talked about the budget and also the high school. So I think probably everyone would appreciate, whatever update you can give us on the budget side, but it's things like that where, not all of us have a chance to go to the school committee meeting. Or like, I know I texted you the other night, you said there was a special school committee last night. I'm like, oops, missed that one.
And tomorrow.
Yeah, and tomorrow?
And
Okay.
tomorrow.
So there's always another chance for me to dial in. But sharing that type of information and helping us stay updated, this is a nice opportunity for you to talk to everybody here. Can you give us an update on some of the work that's going on with the budget at the moment?
Yeah, we've made some interior cuts. Like my first meeting was making cuts to non-staffing cuts. That was able to bring the number down. The number is going down, and we're doing everything in Ms. McCaffrey and the admin team are doing a great job at identifying opportunities to save costs. I think we have been. I think there's anyone who watches the news understands what the city, what the mayor has done as far as community oversight. The Warwick Public Schools financial situation. That I can just say that is that did pass at City Council the night of the WSEAC, the night of the transition meeting. I did not get pulled over, by the way, as I was.
That's good.
So made it to City Hall. There's where I think the administration, school committee are working diligently. I'm working with obviously with the council and with the mayor to try to combat this issue. And I'm confident in the people that are leading it. Ms. Stamberg, Mr. McCaffrey are doing a great job creating those relationships. That I'll say one thing that I've learned about this element within the city is obvious that there's never been a relationship between the city council and the administration and the school committee. That does now exist. And I think that's a very important piece to fix a problem like this. So I think that's something that I have it's really resonated with me because there's always you have the mayor, you have the council, the school committee, and then you have the administration of the Warwick Public Schools. To see everybody working together to help combat this problem is it's important, but it's also it gives you relief that we're going to get there. We're going and again I have confidence in our leadership.
And you said there's another, I know we have one, there was one last night. There's another special school committee meeting tomorrow night. Is that to discuss more cuts?
Additional cuts, yes.
Okay.
To discuss additional cuts.
And could you make sure I have the link to the information on the meeting so that I can share this with everyone in this room as well as everyone on the call? Because I'll make sure after the meeting, I might not get through all of the meeting minutes tonight, but I'll make sure at least everyone has that link.
Understood.
Okay, all right. What other questions does anyone have for Sean tonight? I know it's his first time here. I think I heard someone raise their hand. Alyssa, can you can take yourself off mute?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. I just have a quick overall. I have to get off the call, so I just wanted to see if maybe the people who are there in the room tonight, their emails or their contacts could be added to Caitlin Regan's next email that goes out. So the people that are there and anyone who wants to contact them has the right contact information to get to the people they need to, whether it's a transition issue, a Sean Wiggins issue, or whoever else is in there. That'd be great.
Yeah, I will make sure that we take care of that, Alyssa.
Thank you.
There'll be no lack of contact information.
Thank you.
Although they probably won't text you as much as I do at the present moment.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Any other questions for Sean at this time? Just raise your hand on the phone. Anyone in the room? Oh, thank you so much. Contact information is being sent over to me as we are chatting. So, okay. Anything else? All right. Everything goes to Sean. All right. So if there are no more questions for Sean, we're going to switch over to old business. For everyone on the call, I'm going to table the website acronym resource since Caitlin's leading that project. For membership, we actually are going to, with Caitlin's support, be pulling together who's eligible for the more formal recognition for membership for attending these meetings. You usually need to attend at least 2 meetings in a row, or at least 2 meetings, in a very close period of time to be considered formally for membership. That whether you are or are not a member, you are always welcome. These are public meetings. But I did want to reassure anybody, we'll be going through that. You'll probably get an email from me or from Caitlin regarding next steps in case you're interested. But we're so happy all of you are here tonight. This is absolutely wonderful. We also have some upcoming presentation and topics that I will circulate to everyone after this call. If there are anything that you either are particularly interested in hearing us and having, a guest speaker at one of our future meetings, please just let me know. And when I send that out to everyone after this call, and we'll see what we can do to arrange that. So for new business, this is one of my favorite times in the entire meeting. We have a time to basically say how wonderful our Warwick and teachers and staff are that have worked with the kids in various programs across the district. I'm opening up the line for everyone on the phone to either recognize someone. I see some hands raised in the room already. So if you can raise your hand on the call, then I'll be happy to call on you so that we can get that. Anyone who is recognized during this meeting tonight will also be recognized during an upcoming school committee. That's part of the regular school committee report that I give out on behalf of SEAC. So I'm going to turn the laptop over so that you can be seen. And then Alyssa, we will get to you. All right.
I know my daughter Maisie absolutely loves this thing.
Aw.
Loves her. Absolutely loves her.
Yeah. And what's Maisie's favorite pieces of working with you? Since we have somebody in the room being recognized.
She takes her shopping.
Listen, I told you to chill on that. I was like, Mom starts calling me.
Yeah. Can I have some money?
Yeah.
Keep money on my card.
She's trying to sell those little bracelets. I just got a little side hustle on that.
Yeah.
I didn't take mine off. They were giving me a little bit. I leave them on my desk now. Thank you for doing that.
Loves.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful. So Alyssa, you're up.
Wanted to give an appreciation shout out to Angela Egan, TA at Hoxie. She's my son's unofficial para person during the day. She's amazing. She's attentive. She's patient and really puts us at ease sending him off to school every day when we know we have someone that cares for him so much. So I just wanted to give her a shout out.
All right, Sean.
So my son, Miss Cooper at Hoxie as well, not to give Hoxie too much, but that she's incredible. I am a dad too, so regardless of a third grader who struggles, and my son, we just got testing scores back where he's, and she spent the summer with him as well. And it's just phenomenal. And Miss Nolan over at Lippitt, though she's not a special educator. I'm going to give her a shout because she helped us over the summer as well. But Miss Cooper, my son is at a 129% higher in math, and he's 78% higher in reading. He is engaged and loves Hawks Elementary, and I believe it's just because of his teacher, and also, but Miss Cooper is just phenomenal. So I just, as a dad, I have to thank. I mean, last year he was in a certain level, and now you're 139% up. That's obviously due to a lot of hard work by people over there.
Thank you. That, of course, puts a challenge to everybody in this room and on the call because we've got 2 for Hoxie, 1 for the transition program. Seeming a little light in other areas. Oh, we got another one coming.
Jacob Medor at Tollgate. He supports
Every
every
Everything.
event.
Yeah, he does.
He goes to every game, every, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it is. He will go to like 3 or 4 of them in a day. Yes.
Yes.
He goes
You
to
know him too.
everything
I was with him last
all
night.
the time. He is like
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because he's social studies, special ed social studies teacher.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wonderful.
All right, we've got 1 Tollgate, 1 transition program, 2 Hoxie. Any more from on the call that anyone would like to recognize? Yeah, a little late on the Pilgrim High School side. Wait. All right, 1 for Pilgrim coming.
So it is staff. So Jennifer Randall, who does the technology. So I kind of just went to her and was like, please help me with technology one day. And now she's been a really good source of getting some of my students access to different like Khan Academy or because we do Demi through the Warwick Public Library. But it felt silly not to have access to like the Alex for math. So things like that. She's really helped get some of my students on that and involved because sometimes there is math that we're doing that they're like, well, what about this? And I'm like, it's a little too out of my range, but they have that connection. So she has been able to do that along with Julie Mixner, who
Who's awesome.
was a wonderful, she was a teacher when I was at Vets when I was in high school. So the two of them have really helped get my students into those, more academic based technology pieces, which is great. So
Awesome.
So it's 2 for Pilgrim from 1 person.
That's right.
Yes.
She's the tech integrationist there, but she's a true teacher at heart.
Yes.
And she gets right in the classroom and works with any teacher or any situation.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, I think Daphne had her hand up.
Oh, Daphne, do you have somebody that you'd like to recognize? Okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to turn the laptop around to you. And who would you like to recognize? Ms. Sweeney at Tollgate. And what would you like to recognize about her?
I had a hard time with math in 9th grade and 10th. So she's helping me get better and better once I get my math steps up.
That's cool. That's very helpful. Thank you. So we've got 2 Tollgate now, I believe. We have 2 Tollgate, 2 Pilgrim, 1 transition program, and Hoxie. Okay. Oh, we've got more coming. Joanna. So you can open up your line.
I would like to recognize someone myself in Jamelin seconds what Daphne had said about Mrs. Sweeney. I mean, we know her as Miss Sweeney before she got married. She loves her so much and she misses her. And I want to thank Mrs. Cole Angelo. She's at Cedar Hill and she does a phenomenal job with my daughter. My daughter is 9 years old and she's in an IEP program and the hypeness that she gives my daughter is like amazing. And my daughter just smiles every time. And I just want to thank her for that very much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody we missed? All right. Then we get to come over to one of the sometimes heartwarming, sometimes sad, but discussion of our next meeting date. Right now. All right. Hi, Jamie Lynn. So our next meeting date right now is scheduled for February 26th. There is a slight chance that I may need to go out of town on business that day. If I do, we will look for another meeting time and I will let all of you know. But otherwise, I'm expecting that it'll be on that date. If there are no other questions in either the room or on the call, this meeting will be adjourned. And I appreciate all of you. I know how tough it is to come out this late at night to have a discussion when you've had a long day. So thank you all for attending tonight and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Daphne.
What year were you at Warwick?
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Graduated 2011.